All right, fine. I'll be the first one from Toronto to admit this guy is good. Let's talk about Lane Hutson today. Lane Hutson is a 21-year-old American defenseman coming from North Barrington, Illinois. He is 5'10", 165 pounds, and he is taking the league by storm. He just won the Calder Trophy for the best rookie of the season. But is the hype really warranted, and what can we expect from him going forward? Let's discuss. Hutson was picked near the end of the second round in 2022 by Montreal Canadiens, and he was a short defenseman, someone that people were thinking, is he really that good? Is he that skilled offensive defenseman? But can he be good defensively as well? Well, he showed that very well. In Boston University in 2022-23, after his draft year, he put up 48 points, including 15 goals in 39 games. That is a very good offensive output. But the problem was still his defense. Was he able to be defensively sound? Can you be a number one defenseman on a team that also needs some defensive stability as well? Let's talk about it. The next season, he went back to Boston University, put up 49 points in 38 games, so slightly better than last season, wearing the A this time. But also, he went to Montreal for the end of the season, put up 2 games. In those 2 games, he got 2 points. Habs fans are very excited about him, understandably so. But what was next for Lane Hutson? What can we expect from a full 82-game season for him? Well, he kind of shocked everybody, I think, in an extremely good way. In 66 points in 82 games, 60 assists. As a defenseman, that's very, very good. His goal scoring wasn't as elite as it was in the college level, but 6 goals is not so bad, considering how many points he's putting up on the power play and how many assists he's getting for the guys like Suzuki, Caulfield, etc. In the playoffs, he was just as good, putting up a point-per-game statistic with 5 assists in 5 games. Obviously, they dropped the games to the Washington Capitals, but at the end of the day, they still were showing very good for a young Montreal team. One thing important to note, though, is that Lane Hutson was a -5 in the season. Even the regular season, he was a -2. Maybe wondering, how is he getting these minus numbers with such great offensive production? Well, let's talk about that as well. Hutson has been one of the best transition players ever since his time in college, where he actually had a 99 transition rating and a 94 offensive rating. However, his defense was always poor, just a 45 rating. So, what's the solution for Montreal? Can he improve that defense, or do they have to pair him with a top-tier defensive player? One important thing to keep in mind for Lane Hutson is that throughout most of his career, he's been paired with a physical, kind of stay-at-home defenseman, David Savard. Obviously not much of a puck mover, but definitely a guy who can protect him and make sure he can have all the freedom he needs for offense. But how would he play with a more progressive offensive player? Would it be better? Would it be worse? The answer to that may be new addition Noah Dobson from the New York Islanders. They traded a decent amount for him, but he's an elite player. They signed him to a big extension, and he's going to be a great offensive puck mover for the Montreal Canadiens. I don't think he's going to play with Lane Hutson. I might play with Caden Gooley, more defensive stay-at-home player once again. However, there will be times they're on the ice together, and that might be very important for Lane Hutson, as it'll make sure he gets opportunity to move the puck D to D, make sure he can make plays offensive zone, and make sure they can put the puck in the net. Lane Hutson has struggled on defense in NHL career. He is a minus career player. I mean, yes, it's a Montreal Canadiens team that is very young, very inexperienced, and not really too playoff built. However, in his season last year, he struggled on defense. As you can see, his offensive ratings much outweigh the defensive ratings given to him. Now, you may be wondering, is this an issue for Lane Hutson? Will this be an issue that prolongs the rest of his career? Well, I'm here to tell you, even as a Leafs fan, that's probably not the case. You think about a player like Quinn Hughes, who right now is one of the best, if not, at least a top 2 defenseman in the NHL. His defense at the beginning of his career was very questionable at times, and now he is not only very defensively stable, but he's one of the best defensemen offensively moving the puck. And honestly, kind of very much reminds me of Lane Hutson's play, the way they can turn on a dime, use their edges in the blue line to make good plays, and make plays and passes that people can't even expect to see. So I think it's not an issue for Lane. I think he can develop this game very much. I think one of the most important things about Lane Hutson is that not only in the offensive zone is he a true game changer, but he's one of the best transitional players in the league. He is so quick, he moves the puck so effortlessly, and getting from the blue line to blue line is so easy for him. So I think he'll be a really important player to the Montreal Canadiens' future in a decor that's very stacked with young talent, with him, Caden Gooley, Noah Dobson, guys like David Reinbacher coming up. It's like they have such a good young core, and I feel like it is very important to note that the Habs are going to be a scary team going forward. Now, here's another important thing to consider, is that what will Lane Hutson's next NHL contract look like? Well, I think much of it depends on how good he plays next season. But considering last season, I think there's no doubt in anyone's mind that he can be a 70-point player next season, even at the young age of 22 by that season ending. So, what will his contract look like? I think it's important to consider 2 different defensemen that recently signed this year, because they're both kind of similar molds despite playing different styles a little bit. One being Evan Bouchard, the other being Noah Dobson. Evan Bouchard signed a 4-year, $42 million extension with the Edmonton Oilers. By the way, a load of crazy money there, but the point is he's a very good offensive defenseman, not as good in defensive zone. We all know that. but the points are there, especially in the playoffs. I think it is a $10.5 million deal that might be worth it for the Oilers, but it could also be a tough look for them in the few years. And it's comparable to also Noah Dobson, who signed an 8-year deal, $9.5 million per year. So that's a Montreal Canadiens contract too. I think the Habs are going to have to give a lot of money to Lane Hutson, especially if he produces like he did last season. And at the end of the day, it'll be worth it because he is such a good player and just a very important player to the team, not only their 5-on-5 game, but also their power play. My prediction for his next contract is going to be 7 years at a $10 million average annual value. It might be a little bit less, might be a little bit more. I don't know about more, but it might be a little bit less, maybe in the nines. However, he's deserving of a $10 million contract. If he puts up like an 80-point, 70-point season next year, he can always have to rival Cale Makar, Quinn Hughes, Zach Werenski in the top of the defensemen in the NHL. I actually would have said $9 million for his contract. However, with Noah Dobson just getting paid $9.5, it makes you think if Hutson can play better than him next season, his agent and himself will probably both think in their minds, why am I getting paid less than a guy who I'm playing better than? Therefore, I think it is perfectly justifiable for Lane Hutson to request $10 million a year, especially with the cap inflating. It is not a crazy figure anymore, as much as it was in the past few years. So I think it is perfectly justifiable, and it's something we could likely see coming next season. Now on to his points projection. We know last year Lane Hutson played the full 82 games, which is a very, very good sign for Habs fans. And I'm hoping, honestly, for his sake, that he can stay healthy too. I know he might rip up the Leafs a few times, but I'm hoping to see he can play a great season. Honestly, I'm a fan of the player. He's truly exciting to watch. Last season, he put up 6 goals and 60 assists for 66 points. And I think this is a Habs team that's going to continue to get better and better. I think next season he can put up 10 goals and 70 assists for 80 points, just shy of a point per game season, and I think this is very doable for him. It hurts me to say that as a Leafs fan. We don't really have a number one defenseman that we could really use a Lane Hutson, but the point is he's on the Habs and he's doing a great job there. 80 points, my prediction for him. I think he'd go over that too. He could go under it. I don't really see him going too much under that, but we'll see what happens. So what do you think about Lane Hutson? Is he the next huge defenseman in the league? Can he be a rival to Quinn Hughes, Cale Makar as one of the best defensemen, not only the best offensive defenseman, but can he improve his defensive game, become a true two-way player for the Habs? Or will he just become an offensive defenseman full-time, stay that way, and just play him next to a great defensive defenseman, even a Caden Gooley down the line? I think this is a very good option for the Habs, but hopefully he can develop a two-way play as well. I hope this video was insightful for you guys. I hope you learned a little bit about Lane Hutson and how he's going to be a very dangerous player to watch in this upcoming season. I hope you guys liked this video. If you do, please feel free to subscribe, drop a like, comment. Make sure to follow me on my TikTok and Instagram pages. They all have the same name. And thank you so much for your time. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.